Hello, this is another project starter, and this time we want to use dictionary. Again, once you have a long file, and previously we had to pass bunch of bunch of variables in here to CTEC and return them, and instead I'd like to save everything into one dictionary. This is much easier to program in the end of the day, even though it might look more like more typing. So good understanding of dictionary will help. I'm not going to quite develop the function as I did before. There is actually very small changes there along the lines. I would need to throw this in, and after I updated the student dictionary, I will return it. So my student or player, and this will be my only variable in the game that will contain all the values that I had previously as separate variables. I'm still asking for a name because that's convenient, but all I'm going to do is update student variables. Okay, so how can I update it? So there goes your while loop as before, only in slightly different syntaxes. For example, I want to update student knows. So student uh, knows plus equals 1. Sorry, I have to close the uh, quotation mark and then print student. So just to make sure that it changed. So let us run and see what it does. So let me call main and asks for a name, and it prints the entire dictionary. Since you may have more variables than I do, I sure hope so, this could probably be not the best way to print the data. For somebody who is familiar with dictionaries, it's probably very fine, but for somebody who is not, this is not the best format to read stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to develop a couple of functions here. And actually, I honestly don't even need to develop them because we developed them in other examples. Those are very trivial functions, like the name of a function will be cstats, but what it will do, really, is print all the key value pairs from a dictionary. So that should be done. And I showed you how to change the values in the dictionary, and you will do that inside the previously written while loop inside a function over here more specifically. And one of the major advantage is that you don't even need to return the student. This will update the student. I mean, nothing bad will happen if you do keep the structure that we had previously with returning those variables that we passed into CTEC 102, for example, and reassigning them back to student, in this case, student. But I just want you to remember how to do this. Work with the dictionary, update, first of all, update value in the dictionary. And second, I want to do cstats. And cstats is basically printing the dictionary. Before we go on, I'm sure you can find print dictionary in one of these examples. By the way, this is examples for chapter 9, dictionary sets and pickle. But since it was just a couple of lines of code, I just wrote it again from scratch, and I can show you the results. So def cstats student, and for key value in student items, remember student items actually returns dictionary key value pairs as a tuple, and then you unpack this tuple like this. So this will print in a nicer way, and you can change or add something to it if you want to do a better, prettier printing statement. So here is my key value pairs. Keys were previously variables themselves, name, nose, and extra credit. And values are v, for, and false. For because I updated on a previous line, I updated the value of nose key in the student dictionary. So student using dictionaries is much better because everything is stored in one place. One particular reason why it is better is it's easier to save as pickle. And if you want to go back to chapter 9, by the way, dictionaries and pickle are in the same place, it's a good idea to look through that again. But I don't even have to write from scratch the load and save functions because I already did that in one of the in-class examples. So there is actually a very large number of examples done already, and some of them can be directly used. So let me show you how to load. And okay, so if I'm looking at this file, I'm looking for something with the word pickle in it. Pickle example will do just fine, I suppose. Yep, save and load. So remember this kind of examples. Look at a pickle example, and this example asks you to, allows you to save whatever you want, a single item, a single object, and it asks you for a file name, then opens or creates a file with that name, pickle dump that dumps the value and then closes. Alternatively, the load again asks you for a file name, opens, then loads, and then closes. So here we go. I'm just going to copy paste it here, save X and load. I need to be a little bit careful that I don't bring anything from my previous code. So in this case, I don't. This is pretty generic. It can save any singular object. And remember, pickle saves as binary, and that means that it saves exactly as it is and loads exactly as it is. That is an advantage of pickle over saving as a text file, which we covered earlier, and feel free to use that instead if you like. So pickle, spelling, import pickle, and that's all. Import pickle, and this will work. And I do want to test that they work, those functions work. I'm not going to do again the while loop and such, or develop the CTEC 102 for dictionaries. You can do all that. It's very similar. What I want to do, I want to make sure this works. So first of all, I'm going to call save. Save student, the only variable that I have here. And before I save, I'm going to make this as 10 to see that this is not, to make it different from the original values, I guess. So I will save student, and it will ask me, sorry, let me restart this from scratch. So let's go main, enter name p, enter a dot file name with no extension, abc, and it's saved. Presumably it's saved, and in my folder where my file is, I should be able to see a new file right now. And I do, so ABC is created, and this is my Python file. Okay, Now I go back and I'm testing that my save and load are working well. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to actually change this code. I'm going to disable this, and I'm going to disable this, and I'm going to do load. And since I'm loading it, I need to save it as a student, so my student uh, variable will be a new dictionary loaded from the file. So notice that I initialize it first. It's not a big deal, I can do that, but it should be overwritten, and the values that I saved were different, so we will be able to see if we actually loaded the file or not. So run. Okay, call main, enter name. I think the file was ABC. Yes, it is. And here we go. So we loaded exactly what we saved previously. So that's how you can deal with it. And if you need a refresher how dictionaries work, a bigger refresher, you can go back to the chapter, or you can read the code examples that I have in my public folder over here, dictionaries, sets, and pickle. And pretty much all of them will be more or less relevant with it if you want to develop it with dictionary. Now, if you don't want to use dictionary and you want to use like scalar variables like I did in my previous video, you can still use this code. The only difference is that over here you have to create a list consisting of all those variables. You save the list, and when you load, you have to unpack this list as those variables. So it's a couple of lines, but you can definitely do that. And again, so the ways this should be developed, there should be like functions for each rule, and in each room 4 different things should be happening. And one of those things, for example, can be just a printing statement. Another thing can be a puzzle. Another thing can be a way to increase stats, get a bonus or search for a bonus. And in some rooms you get nothing. In some rooms you get it. And I guess this is more than enough information to start and do it. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to save your file as you develop it. Save, save, and save. By the end of it, you should have like a dozen of versions starting from version 1, the old one, and to the version 12, which is the new one.